Isaac wiped sweat from his brow as he hauled the last box of tools up the 4th floor. The elevator had been broken since January, and no one seemed in a rush to fix it. The apartment building on Halsted and 74th had the scent of old dust and forgotten dreams. Peeling paint clung to the walls like old regrets, and most tenants kept their heads down, locked behind doors that hadn't seen a fresh coat in years. He was new here. Maintenance worker, night shift, the kind of job nobody noticed unless something broke. He liked it that way, quiet, predictable, low expectations. After 2 tours overseas and 1 failed marriage, predictability felt like luxury. Apartment 6B sat at the end of the hall, untouched and silent. The brass numbers were worn to a dull whisper, the peephole covered with black tape. No packages, no noise, no signs of life. Just silence. Yet every resident seemed to have an opinion. She doesn't come out. Ever. I think she's ex-military. Real cold eyes. I heard she was a scientist. Screwed up something bad. Government stuff. Isaac had heard them all. Gossip curled around that door like smoke. No one had seen her clearly, and no one dared knock. But every night, a faint blue light seeped from beneath the frame, like moonlight through a keyhole. He wasn't a man easily shaken, but that apartment tugged at his curiosity. He told himself it was because of a leaky pipe. Unit 6A had water. Damage. He needed to check if it had spread. That night, a storm rolled in, thunder shaking the window panes. Power flickered, then died. Emergency lights blinked on, bathing the hallway in dull red. Isaac grabbed his flashlight and climbed the stairs. When he reached the top floor, water dripped steadily from the ceiling, each drop echoing like a ticking clock. He stood in front of 6B, raised a hand, and knocked once. Nothing. Then, the lock turned. The door opened an inch, a chain still fastened. A single eye peered through the gap, gray-green, unreadable, with a steadiness that unnerved him. "I'm here about the leak," he said, holding up his tool bag. "I didn't call anyone," she replied. Her voice was low, controlled, wrapped in steel. "Water's coming through. Your floor. I just need 5 minutes to check. Not necessary. It won't spread." He frowned. "Ma'am, with all due respect, it already has." A pause. Then, "Not in here. Trust me." He wanted to argue, but her tone didn't invite debate. She started to close the door. "What's your name?" he asked, surprising himself. The door stopped. A beat passed. Elara. Then the door clicked shut. Isaac stood there for a moment, flashlight still in hand. He turned to leave when he noticed something strange, his arm hair standing on end, like static. The air around 6B buzzed faintly, a low frequency you didn't hear so much as feel. Back downstairs, the superintendent barked orders about flooded hallways, but Isaac barely listened. Something about that woman felt different. Not just the way she looked at him, measured, wary, but something under her skin, like she carried lightning just beneath the surface. That night he couldn't sleep. The building creaked and groaned around him, old pipes hissing in protest. He scribbled something in his notebook, half poem, half thought. She lives behind a locked door, where blue light hums and silence breathes. She doesn't need saving. But maybe I do. He tore the page, folded it once, and in the morning, slid it under the door of 6B. The note was gone the next day. Isaac checked twice, unsure if someone had kicked it aside or if the woman behind 6B had actually taken it. The hallway offered no clues. Just the same flickering light, same faded carpet, same closed doors. Yet something had changed, however subtly. A presence lingered. By Thursday, another note appeared beneath his door. Folded precisely, the handwriting, small and slanted. "You assume I want to be healed. I don't. Not everyone broken wants fixing." No name, no greeting, just that. He read it 3 times. Isaac had spoken to hundreds of people during the worst years of his life. Soldiers, surgeons, chaplains. But no one had ever said something like that. Most people begged to be put back together. Ilara wore her cracks like armor. He replied the only way he knew how, with words. Left a second note that night, quoting an old poem about wounds that glowed when the moonlight touched them. He doubted she'd respond. Still, he returned each day to check. 3 days passed before her next message. Light doesn't heal. It exposes. He didn't know if she was arguing or agreeing, but he kept writing. Their exchange continued in the silence between repairs and broken bulbs. Neither of them mentioned their names again, no pleasantries, just thoughts carved into paper. Isaac began to look forward to the quiet ritual. It gave structure to his days, softened the edges of long nights filled with sirens and aching memories. He wrote about stars, about scars, about how people mistake survival for peace. Her responses were sharper, more guarded. Still, something in her tone began to shift. One evening, while fixing a faulty heater in 4C, an old woman approached him, leaning heavily on her cane. "You're the first one she's answered," she said. He straightened, unsure what she meant. "Ilara. She's been up there 3 years, never spoke a word to anyone. Until you." He didn't know how to respond. The old woman simply nodded and moved on. Later that week, Isaac found himself outside a downtown library, poring through public records. Curiosity had become concern. Her name appeared in archived news articles. Dr. Ilara Monroe, lead researcher at a private biotech firm. Praised for breakthroughs in reproductive gene therapy. Then suddenly, a scandal. A patient died. The company collapsed. Lawsuits followed. She vanished from public life. The details were vague. No conviction, no official charges, just headlines designed to ruin. Her image, once proud, now accompanied by words like cold, dangerous, unfit. He closed the file, stomach tight. He didn't know what the truth was, but instinct told him she'd been made into a scapegoat, not just dismissed, erased. Back at the apartment, he hesitated in front of her door, slid a note under it anyway, even, "Ghosts leave footprints. I see yours." That night, rain lashed the windows, thunder rolled in waves. He lay awake, watching shadows dance across the ceiling. Just past midnight, a sound echoed through the hallway, soft, deliberate. He opened his door to find another note on the floor. "You shouldn't care. You don't know what I've done." He stared at the words, then wrote back immediately, "That's not true. I know you're still here. That matters." No reply came for days. He wondered if he'd pushed too far. Then, while replacing ceiling tiles, in the laundry room, he heard a voice behind him. "You shouldn't have read those files." He turned, startled. Ilara stood at the doorway, half in shadow, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. Her hair was tied back, and for the first time, he saw her fully. Not the legend, not the rumor, just a woman carved by years of silence. "You weren't supposed to look me up," she said. "I wasn't trying to judge," he answered. "I just wanted to understand." "Understanding leads to pity," she muttered. "No, it leads to truth." They stared at each other, the distance between them holding everything unsaid. "I didn't kill anyone," she said at last. "I didn't think you did." She studied his face, as if searching for the lie. Finally she nodded once, then turned and walked away. The hallway felt different after that. Lighter somehow. Something had cracked. Not broken. Opened. And Isaac knew. She was beginning to let him in. It was well past midnight when Isaac heard footsteps echo outside his apartment. Not rushed. Measured. Intentional. He waited, listening. A soft knock followed. 3 taps spaced evenly. He opened the door. Ilara stood there, drenched in silver. Moonlight filtering through the hallway window, She held a folded blanket, one hand clutching the edge like a shield. "I need help," she said. No greeting, no explanation. He stepped aside without hesitation. Inside, she placed the blanket on his couch and sat stiffly, spine straight, as if unused to rest. Her eyes scanned the room with quiet calculation. Shelves of worn books, a cracked coffee mug filled with pens, photos curled at the corners on the fridge. She didn't comment on any of it. "I shouldn't be here," she murmured, fingers fidgeting with the edge of her sleeve. "I'm glad you are," Isaac replied, settling. Into the armchair across from her, a beat passed. "There's something I need to show you," she said. "But you have to promise you won't run." "Why would I?" "Because most people do." She stood and reached for the chain around her neck. From beneath her sweatshirt, she pulled a small crystal pendant that glowed faintly blue. The air shifted. Pressure built, not painful, but dense, like standing at the edge of a lightning storm. Her skin shimmered, not figuratively, literally. The pale tone dissolved into a metallic sheen that pulsed softly in the dim room. It wasn't human, not makeup, not technology, something entirely other. Isaac didn't move. "This is me," she said, voice quieter now. "The real version. The one I hide." He watched, mesmerized. Her skin wasn't silver, nor gold. Something between. A living alloy. She was glowing, softly, like starlight contained in flesh. "I don't understand," he whispered. "I'm not from here," she replied. Earth wasn't meant to be permanent. It was exile. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "Exile from where?" "A planet called Avier. My people believe in perfection. Reproduction is controlled, monitored. I failed. Couldn't conceive. They called it genetic failure." Isaac frowned. "They exiled you because you couldn't have children." Her expression darkened. "Not just that. I led a research initiative. I believed infertility could be reversed through biomechanical integration. They called it dangerous, unnatural. My work was destroyed. My name erased. But you were trying to help. They didn't want help. They wanted obedience." She moved toward the window, light playing across her metallic form. "I arrived here 9 years ago. Took a human name, hid among strangers. The glow faded eventually. I thought my abilities had vanished. I stopped hoping." Isaac stood but kept his distance. "And now?" She turned. "Now they're returning." "How?" She hesitated. "Since meeting you, I've felt energy. My skin reacts, my thoughts sharpen, my cells regenerate." He blinked, unsure. "You think I'm the reason?" She nodded. "Something in your biology is triggering reactivation. It's rare. I didn't believe it at first. Why tell me? Because I need to know if it's real. And because—" She stopped, eyes narrowing. "You've never treated me like something broken." "I don't see you as broken. Most people would." "I'm not most people." Ilara studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then she let her camouflage fade completely. The full effect was stunning. Hair like burnished metal, eyes luminous, skin flawless in a way nature never designed. He took a cautious step closer. "You're beautiful," he said. She didn't flinch. "You're not afraid." "Should I?" "Be? You should be terrified." Isaac shook his head. "You look like yourself to me." She looked away, blinking fast. "This changes everything," she said softly. "No," he corrected. "It just explains what I already felt. You're not just reacting to a story, Isaac. You're reacting to something ancient." "Maybe I'm not who I thought either," he replied. "We don't always know what's buried inside until someone shows us." They stood there, the air thick with unspoken things. Ilara lifted her hand slowly, reached toward his cheek, hesitated just before contact. He didn't move. Her fingertips brushed his skin. A jolt passed through them both, brief but unmistakable. She pulled back, startled. He steadied her with one hand on her arm. "You okay?" "I felt recognition," she whispered, like a forgotten code waking up. "Then let's figure it out together," he said. Her eyes softened. For the first time she smiled, not a polite curve, not a forced twitch, something real, something alive. A week passed without incident, but something in Alara's eyes had changed. Not fear exactly, more like anticipation, as if she sensed the tide shifting. Isaac noticed the way she started checking the building's windows at dusk. Her posture stilled whenever engines idled too long outside. She mapped the fire escapes, memorized shadow patterns, timed the flicker of each hallway light. This wasn't anxiety. It was preparation. One evening, while repairing the basement's rusted boiler, he caught the reflection of movement in the pipe's polished metal. A man stood just beyond the stairwell, tall, sharp-featured, wearing a charcoal trench coat despite the humidity. No sound, no expression, just watching. When Isaac turned to face him, he was gone. Later, Alara was already waiting at his apartment. "They've arrived," she said before he could ask. "Who are they?" "Enforcers, sent by the Ascendant Order, my former superiors." "How did they find you?" Her voice dropped. "You." Confusion rippled across his face. Our connection reawakened my dormant field. "That surge! It wasn't silent. It pulsed through dimensions. Someone noticed." Isaac ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "What happens now?" "They won't negotiate. They'll extract or eliminate." "No one's eliminating anything," he snapped, more sharply than intended. She stepped closer. "You don't understand what they're capable of." "You're not alone anymore," he said. "We face this together." She looked down. "I should leave." "No. Staying puts you at risk." "I've lived through war," he replied. "This time, I'm not letting the good get buried." For the first time since they met, Alara hesitated not out of caution, but emotion. There was something unspoken in her gaze, trust mingled with regret. They spent the night wiring the apartment with improvised sensors, repurposed alarms, reflective surfaces, thermal triggers. Isaac repainted the windows with a thin metallic coating she'd mixed herself, one that bent visible wavelengths just enough to distort surveillance. By morning, the building felt different, less like a shelter, more like a fortress. Still, they knew it wouldn't hold forever. As twilight settled, footsteps echoed again, heavier, deliberate. Isaac watched from the stairwell, breath low. A figure in dark gray stepped into the lobby, speaking in a clipped, unfamiliar dialect. The words didn't translate, but the intent was unmistakable. Alara's face paled. "That's Commander Tarson. He looks human. He wears a mask." She didn't mean metaphorically. Tarson moved with unsettling stillness, scanning every corner like he saw through walls. His eyes locked briefly with Isaac's, even from across the lobby. Then he turned and vanished through the front entrance. "They won't attack openly," Alara said. "They'll wait until we're isolated. Then we don't give them the chance." She shook her head. "I wish it were that simple." That night, sleep refused to come. Isaac lay awake, heartbeat loud in his ears. Alara stood near the window, eyes on the skyline. "You've lived alone for so long," he murmured. "I stopped expecting anything else." "Why let me in?" She turned. "Because you didn't flinch." He sat up. "Because you're not frightening. You don't know what I'm capable of. I've seen enough. Not yet." They moved closer, drawn by something neither fully understood. Her fingertips brushed his cheek again. The same surge ignited between them, but this time it lingered, stronger, sharper, alive. "I've spent decades trying to forget what I lost," she whispered. "You remind me what I still have." He leaned in, breath steady. "Then let's take it back." Their lips met, not rushed, but deep and certain. It wasn't passion, it was recognition. When they pulled apart, the air between them shimmered, faintly. Their energy fields had synchronized. He didn't need to understand the science to feel it. "You changed me," she said softly. "You made me whole," he replied. Before they could say more, the hallway light flickered twice, then went dark. A signal. They're moving. Isaac grabbed the bag of improvised tools while Ilara activated the failsafe under her wrist. A soft hum filled the apartment. He turned to her. "Whatever happens, I stay with you." She nodded once. "Then we make our stand here." Behind them, the walls thrummed with latent power, waiting. Outside, boots scraped against concrete. The storm had arrived. The first window shattered before the alarm sounded. Glass rained into the kitchen as a figure in a seamless black uniform dropped silently through the opening. His eyes glowed faintly beneath a featureless mask. No shout, no warning. Just precision. Ilara raised her palm. A sharp burst of kinetic pressure exploded outward, sending the intruder hurtling back through the broken frame. His body struck the fire escape railing, then vanished into the alley below. Isaac didn't speak. He moved quickly, sealing the hallway with a reinforced metal barrier they'd fashioned from a dismantled shelving unit. Bolts slid into place with a heavy finality. Another impact rocked the stairwell. The door bowed inward, hinges screeching. Ilara extended both hands this time. Her fingers emitted a deep violet glow, and the door held firm. "You said they wouldn't attack directly," Isaac muttered. "They must have orders to recover me at any cost," she replied, voice steady. "Despite the tension, what happens if they succeed?" "I vanish. You forget me." Not possible. The ceiling above cracked. Dust fell. A second wave descended through the roof. Ilara stepped forward. Her skin pulsed with radiant energy, the transformation complete now. She no longer resembled anything earthly. Her hair floated as if caught in zero gravity. Her eyes burned like twin stars. Isaac stared in awe. She extended a field of curved light, wrapping it around them both like a shield. Every strike against it ricocheted away, as if repelled by invisible currents. Sparks flew. The apartment glowed like a nebula trapped in concrete. Tarson stepped through the haze. No armor. No mask this time. His features were sharp, symmetrical, unnatural in their symmetry. There was no malice in his expression, only judgment. "Dr. Monroe," he said calmly, "you've compromised containment protocols." "I've reclaimed myself," she answered. "You were declared biologically obsolete." That decree was flawed. He glanced at Isaac. "You fused with a local. I've evolved. This ends now." "No," she said, taking Isaac's hand. "This begins now." Tarson raised one hand. His fingers moved like he was playing an invisible instrument. The other agents circled behind him, weapons aimed, movements synchronized. Ilara closed her eyes. The floor trembled. Isaac felt the change before it became visible. His chest tightened, his fingertips tingled. A strange warmth flowed through his bloodstream, as though her presence had unlocked dormant potential inside him. "Something's happening," he whispered. "You're resonating," she replied without looking. "Our bond has altered your physiology." "Should I be concerned? You should be ready." She stepped forward, dragging light in her wake. It followed her like loyal smoke, responding to her emotions, forming delicate strands of geometry in midair. Tarson struck. The room filled with force. Every object lifted, books, lamps, nails. Even the table split apart, suspended. Ilara reached upward. The fragments obeyed. She sculpted a wall of suspended matter and hurled it like a wave. The agents scattered. One screamed as kinetic shards pierced his armor. Tarson advanced, unaffected. Isaac moved without thinking. He grabbed the fire extinguisher and aimed for the ceiling sprinklers. Water burst downward, steam rising as it met the glowing heat radiating from Ilara's skin. The chaos intensified. Then Isaac yelled, "Wait!" Everyone froze, shocked by the human's interruption. He walked toward Tarson, palms open. "You said she was obsolete, but you're standing in the same room she's defending, alone, against your entire force. Doesn't that tell you anything?" Tarson's eyes narrowed. "Emotion is not a valid argument. It's the only one that matters." Tarson lifted his weapon. Isaac didn't flinch. Before the blast hit, Ilara intercepted. Her body glowed, blinding white. She absorbed the charge completely, then redirected it upward. The ceiling exploded. The night sky bled through the hole. Light poured in. Real starlight. Ilara rose into the air, suspended by energy neither gravity nor physics could contain. She reached for Isaac. He took her hand. Their combined force triggered a shockwave that threw every remaining agent back. Equipment fried. Communication devices burst. The air shimmered like summer heat. Tarson struggled to rise. Ilara descended slowly. She looked him in the eyes. "Tell your council this exile ends on my terms. I'm not property. I'm evolution." Tarson stared, defeated. Then he vanished, translocated with a flicker of his fail-safe beacon. The silence that followed felt sacred. Isaac turned to Ilara. Her light had dimmed to a soft glow, her breathing uneven. "You're hurt." "Exertion," she whispered. He caught her before she collapsed, guiding her gently to the floor. They stayed like that for a long time, her head on his shoulder, his arms around her, both of them trembling, not from fear, but relief. Morning came slowly. Sunlight found its way through the broken ceiling. Outside, the city continued as if nothing had changed. But inside apartment 6B, everything had. Isaac brushed a strand of hair from her face. "What now?" She opened her eyes. "Now, we live.